Welcome to a special replay of a You're the Best classic interview from the Satellite Sisters archive. Over the holidays, we're sharing four of our all-time favorites: Nora Ephron, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Roz Chast, and Robin Roberts. We'll be back with our first episode of 2023 on Tuesday, January 10th. In the meantime, enjoy.
Celebration of Friendship, a collection of essays by the Satellite Sisters. Available October 2015 at satellitesisters.com or wherever books are sold.
We're the Satellite Sisters.
We're the Satellite Sisters.
I'm Sheila Dolan here with my sisters, Liz, Lian, and Julie.
Monica Dolan is in Portland, Oregon.
Welcome to You're the Best encore interviews from the Satellite Sisters.
JJ Abrams is with us. JJ, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know Tina Brown. She's an award-winning journalist. Tina, welcome to Satellite Sisters.
I'm so thrilled to be with you guys.
Oh, we love this book.
Robin Roberts, we're so thrilled to have you here on Satellite Sisters. Welcome to the show.
You know, Liz, my sister would have busted me like that, too.
Welcome to You're the Best encore interviews.
Encore interviews from the Satellite Sisters.
From the Satellite Sisters. We are the Satellite Sisters. I'm Lian Dolan. I'm here with my sister Liz Dolan, and it has been a pleasure to bring you this You're the Best encore interview series in celebration of our new book. It's been an education for us, hasn't it, Liz, to re-listen to some of these interviews from the Satellite Sister archives with guests that we thought were pretty good guests, and then to hear their voices again and their stories in a certain moment in time in their careers. It's been really special, don't you think?
Yeah, this one especially. Today we are bringing you Robin Roberts, and obviously the host of Good Morning America. And this was post-Katrina, but pre all of the drama that Robin has been through with her health since then. Julie and Sheila are both in on this one. And we covered it all from like the role of the baby in the family, Lian. So we talk about that behind your back. Mm-hmm. She talks about her sister Sally Ann, who I believe went on to become her donor.
Yes.
With everything she went through with her health. We talk about Katrina because she was home to see her family's home there. I mean, we really covered a lot, and she is just such a Satellite Sister. You know, we've always loved Robin Roberts. And I think there's even a comment here about how much our mother loved Robin Roberts.
That made me laugh. That really made me laugh when I listened to that again. But, well, you know, you just get the sense about Robin, about how important her family is to her. And, you know, her sisters and brothers have come through for her time and time again in the biggest possible way. But even in this moment in her career, as she reflects back, you know, her sister was the one who kind of led her to sportscasting, which I did not know about. So, I think you'll enjoy this. I think it gives you a whole new perspective. You can see why when Robin needed something from her family, they stepped in because they had always been there for her. Always been there. And such an interesting personal history with her father and her mother, and just, we won't give it all away, but I think you'll really enjoy this interview.
No, I agree. I mean, I think I'm also a sucker always for hearing people talk about their siblings, because lots of times you hear people talk about their parents, or you hear people talk about their partner or husband or wife or their kids. But, you know, the sibs get left out of the total family story. But obviously not with us, the Satellite Sisters, and not with Robin Roberts. So this one was a great pleasure to re-listen to, and we hope that you really enjoy it too. Robin Roberts, we're so thrilled to have you here on Satellite Sisters. We know you are a true Satellite Sister, Robin, but here's one thing you may not know about the Dolan family.
Uh-oh.
Our mother has 3 sons and 5 daughters. If she could have another son and she got to pick, it would be Andre Agassi.
Oh,
and if she could have another daughter and she got to pick, it would be you, Robin Roberts.
Call me Robin Dolan. That's what I'm going to go by now. That's so sweet.
I just can't. And I'm sure Julie, Sheila, you know, you call home, you talk to Mom, and she's always like,
she's always bringing up your name, Robin.
Yes,
always.
and she just calls you Robin, like you are very close.
You know, that's how it should. You know, there is something very intimate about morning television.
Yeah.
People really feel like they know you. Because you're in their homes and they're in different levels of undress.
Yeah.
Starting their morning, and they feel like you're having a cup of coffee with them.
Right. I think that's true. But also, I think, Robin, you're particularly good on Good Morning America. It's sort of giving us a window into your family and how much you love your family. And you've got sisters and parents and a brother and all of that. So we're a family show. We're Satellite Sisters. We just want to talk about you and your family and what's going on there. So
I love that.
So you're the baby, right? Did they always treat you like the baby?
Who's the baby in your family?
Lian is the baby. And she always likes to dispute the idea that the baby is spoiled. She's like, are you kidding?
Oh, the
baby has to keep up with everyone else. It's hardest to be the baby.
You don't buy that, do you?
Well,
you don't buy, I love being the baby of my family. I have 2 older sisters and an older brother. Butch is the oldest, and then 2 sisters. I have one sister in television as well. She has a morning show, so my mother has to flip between the 2. She's in a morning TV show in New Orleans, Louisiana.
And she is great, Robin, because this is Julie.
Phenomenal.
This is Julie. I used to live in New Orleans, one of the many locations I've lived in.
Now you're Big D, yeah.
Yeah, I love watching Sally Ann. She is... Well, it's hard to pick. I can understand how your mother has a problem in the morning.
Everyone has a problem because Sally Ann and I affectionately even say in the book, I get a cavity every time I talk to her. She's so sweet. And it's so genuine, as you know, Julie, by watching her in the morning. So I had just being the baby and having Sally Ann is 8 years older than I am, and Dorothy is 4 years older, and my brother Butch is 12 years older. And their life experiences they shared with me. And it was really funny because, especially the one that's closest in age, Dorothy, I used to always tag along with her. And just recently we were together in Atlanta over the weekend, and she was asking me, can I tag along with you? I was going to these different places. She goes, how does this happen? Like, you used to tag along with me, now I'm asking if I can go along with you. But to have 3 siblings, and we're all 4 of us, I know the same way in your family, the core values are the same, but everything else about us is so different. It's just so great.
Isn't that funny? I feel that way because there are the 8 kids in our family, and we all made very different choices with like what to do with our day-to-day lives. But it is so much fun when we're together. So Sally Ann, she's 8 years older, and she's just an institution in New Orleans television. But she's also the one, she suggested to you that sportscasting might be the way for you to go, Robin?
She really did, because I was at a crossroads, as we all are at different points in our life, and I was in college, and I was majoring in communications. I wanted to be an athlete, a professional athlete. Nah, it just wasn't going to work out. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll be like my big sis, because she was on local TV, and she really so passionate about journalism. And so I was like, yeah, I like that too, but I like sports as well. But I was a little bit chicken. And so in college, I was an assistant news director at a local radio station. I really wasn't enjoying it and was about to drop out and become a pilot like my dad was in the Air Force. And she was the one, I was like, you knucklehead, what are you doing? You love sports. You like journalism. Why don't you combine those 2 together? Instead of being a news journalist, why don't you be a sports journalist? And I was like, it was that aha moment. I'm like, yeah.
But did it sound at all crazy when she said that to you, Robin? Because there weren't that many women in the business then. There weren't that many African-American women in the business.
It's wonderful now to see how it's just so commonplace. You turn on this TV and you see a woman doing sports, you don't blink an eye.
Right.
Well, back in the day when I was coming along, it was a huge deal for a woman to be involved in sports. It just, as a sports journalist, a sportscaster. And so it wasn't foreign to me. Wasn't really that fearful because I love sports so much, and it was such a natural for me. And because I had such trailblazers already in the family. My father was a Tuskegee Airman. He had the nerve as a small child to dream of flying one day.
That is what an amazing thing. You have an amazing family. We knew you did, Robin Roberts.
It's just like how you all are. I mean, when you think about, and your parents are probably the same generation from my parents, and all they wanted was to make a better life for their children. Not an easier life, but everything that my parents did, everything just by their sheer example, and they didn't get up on a soapbox and say, I was a Tuskegee Airman, and my mother was the first in her family to go to college, and she was on the State Board of Education, the first woman. She was always the first woman or the first black woman to do this, that, and the other. I didn't know this until later when I was reading about them in the paper, but they never came home and said that, and I appreciated that. I appreciated that they were just being of service to others and just wanting to instill that in their children. They just wanted us, as your parents, to be responsible adults.
Right.
And anything that came after that, that was gravy, but just to be responsible adults.
Well, they got more than gravy out of their kids, that's for sure. All right, so Sally Ann, we know she's in TV in New Orleans. What's Dorothy's story? What's she up to now?
She is she is the one, first of all, we have a ticket to heaven because of her. She's a social worker in Mississippi. So the work that she does, the true work that she does, is just phenomenal. She works with at-risk children there and trying to help them because not everyone is as fortunate as we all are to have the family that we have. And there are a lot of children out there that are really in need of different services to kind of help them because, unfortunately, their parents and loved ones don't have the skills and resources because they were never exposed to that. So, and Dorothy also is the one, ladies, who makes a lot of my jewelry.
Oh,
a lot
really?
of my necklaces. She
That's
is
so cool.
She is
I
so
didn't
talented.
know. Because every day I'm checking out your necklaces and earrings. Okay.
Yeah, she makes a lot of those, and I also get a great number from viewers who are. A lot of people are into beading and jewelry. It's a nice outlet for them, and so they get a big kick when they send it to me, and then they see it on the air. But Dorothy is she has a phenomenal singing voice. She was Disney's All-American Singer, the Centennial, back in 1976.
Okay, see, we have no singers in our family.
Oh, come on.
No crafting skills either. Robin, okay, I'm looking at the cover of your book, From the Heart by Robin Roberts. You're wearing a lovely necklace and earrings on the cover. Did your sister make those for you?
You know, I feel so bad.
Uh-oh.
And you know what? Thanks for, because she did the same thing. She's like, Robin, you can't help a sister out. You can't wear something so someone knowing that I would be interviewed and asked that. No.
Okay, sorry about that, Dorothy. Let's move on to Butch. So your brother Butch, he's a school teacher?
He is a school teacher. He had an English degree from Rutgers University, and he became a stockbroker because that was a way to make money, and he did that for many, many years. And then he hit his early 50s, and as many people in this country have to deal with, downsizing. Mm-hmm. You know, his company was able to hire somebody that was younger for less money. And I'm so proud of my brother. He didn't panic one moment. He said, you know what? I'm going to do what I thought I would always do, and that is teach. Wow. And so to have him as a role model for his students down in Houston, Texas, he has a beautiful family. He has a son who's in the NBA, plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. So
You're kidding.
Yeah, so we're all living vicariously.
Again, we have no sports. We have no athletes, professional athletes in our family.
I won the Presidential Physical Fitness Award in the 4th grade, Robin.
Hang on to that, girl.
That was Sheila. Sheila's been holding that over our heads for the last 40 years, Robin.
I'm sure. You don't do that as sisters and siblings. You never hold anything over.
Oh,
no.
We do not have long memories. No.
You know what's really interesting along those lines? I mentioned in the book about how my sister Sally Ann and I, we really came to a place that we were not going to speak to one another. When my grandmother Sally passed away, and she was a woman that didn't have a lot of material goods. She was she had so much that she shared with us. But when she passed away, we were in her apartment. My mom said, you know, kids, take something that you think that you'd like from your grandmother. And I saw her wedding ring. And so I took that. And Sally Ann, I didn't realize, wanted it. And it was a big brouhaha that we were able to work out. But people have stopped me in the signings. I've been across the country signing book signings. And everyone wants to, first of all, see the wedding ring and talk to me about how do you get through that as a family. You can be as close as we are and as close as you all are. And you can have these spats.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart when you hear people talk about they haven't talked to their, parents in X amount of years or sibling, and I'm like, why? They can't even remember the reason why.
Yeah, it gets started and they just don't know how to fix it. So how did you and Sally Ann actually get over that?
My brother Butch, he doesn't say a lot, but when he says something, we listen. And we were in the car driving from Ohio back to Mississippi. They were going to drop me off at my folks' house. And my sister was in the back seat with Dorothy, and she was just talking about me like I couldn't hear her. Like, I can't believe she did. And finally...
Really? Oh, that's never happened in our family either.
Never. You can't relate to that.
Now, that part we do. We're really good at that skill.
Oh, yeah. So I took the ring off, and I gave it to her. I said, you take the ring. I don't even want it. So we get to the house. And I storm into it, and my brother's going to have to drive on to New Orleans to take Sally Ann home. And I walk into that house, and I'm telling you, ladies, I said to myself, I am never talking to Sally Ann again.
Really?
About 4 minutes later, wasn't even 5, 4 minutes later, I get a phone call. Now this was before cell phones. So my brother had to pull the car over, find a payphone, put my sister on the phone with me, because he said, you are not going to let this night end until you both apologize to each other.
All right, Butch.
Yeah.
That's a good move.
That was a brilliant move. And he said, so we got on the phone, we said, I'm sorry. And a couple of weeks later, I was still down home, and Sally Ann came back over, and she gave me the ring with a beautiful card and said, I really want you to have Grandma Sally's ring.
Oh.
And it was just, but it had not been for, Butch stepping up to the plate and going, this isn't going to happen to our family.
Sheila Dolan here with my sisters Liz and Julie, and we're just having so much fun here with Robin Roberts.
Right. What could be more fun than talking to Robin Roberts from Good Morning America about her new book, From the Heart, 7 Rules to Live By. Okay, Robin, I think many people learned a lot about you that they didn't already know when Hurricane Katrina hit Pass Christian, where your family is from. And one thing I didn't know till I read your book, you write that I could hardly get my head around the fact that just a week earlier, my family had been together for a joyful occasion. Your sister Sally Ann's oldest daughter, Judith, was starting med school at Howard, right?
Yes, she just completed her 2nd year, and it was a beautiful ceremony called a white coat ceremony. And it just taught me when I was, I didn't even realize that until I was keeping a journal after Katrina, and I was like, boy, because you can't even remember life before something like that happened.
Yeah.
Everything is categorized as before Katrina and after Katrina.
It reminded me a little of, in our family, the week before September 11th, we had a giant Labor Day weekend. We had a giant 50th wedding anniversary party for our parents right outside of New York City.
Yeah.
So everyone flew in. That's where we grew up. And we had this moment of like 100 of us together.
Wow.
And then, days later, everyone flew home. And then just a few days after that, the attacks happened in the United States. And it does sort of, the before and after is so stark in that kind of situation.
And it makes you appreciate also those moments that you have with family. And I'm glad that we had that joyous occasion before Katrina, because there's been joy after, but it's different. It's like a new normal for you after going through something like that. And I was just home recently. I go home as much as I can, and we just recently got back into our family home in Pass Christian. We were very thankful that we had another home in Biloxi where my mother was able to stay, and where my sister Dorothy lived for 4 months while her home was being repaired. And I was home a couple months ago, and it was so cute. And we hadn't been there for a while with the repairs because my mother was very ill and in and out of hospital, so we weren't going by to check on the progress. And so we turned the corner, and we see the house. It was about dusk, and the outside light was on. And we hadn't seen, a light on in that house since Katrina. And we started screaming. I was like, Mama, we got electricity, Mama! And it just makes you the little things you really love to appreciate. Yeah,
and I mean, your hometown. And so is she back in that house now?
Yes, she is able to live back in that house now. She was the last one. 3 family homes are severely damaged. Julie, being from New Orleans, knows that area well.
I love Pass Christian. Yeah.
And Sally Ann was in New Orleans East, and that was really underwater. And she got back in her home about a month or so ago, and got hot water 2 weeks ago. Woo!
So she was screaming and jumping for joy over that, I'm sure.
She was. But part of the reason why I waited to release the book now, because I started writing it right after Katrina, was to put the focus and the light back on that area from really Texas to Alabama and even parts of Florida. Just the devastation, but primarily New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And because people mean well, and right after a disaster, they're right there. And then everyone goes back to their lives, and you can expect that. But people are still in FEMA trailers. It's almost 2 years later, and there's still many, many people still living in FEMA trailers down there.
Do you think your family will ever be the same for having gone through that?
We're stronger.
Really?
It's kind of like, yes, we were always close. But it's really made us so much more appreciative and grateful. And we lost Daddy, the true patriarch in our family. He passed away about 10 months before Katrina. So it's been most hard on my mom to have to go through this kind of disaster, this life-altering, life-changing experience without someone that's been in your life for 60 years. And it was hard not to have Daddy there to kind of shepherd us through this. But we are stronger. We're closer than ever. And but still, it's like our life is like we categorize it before Katrina and after Katrina.
Well, Robin Roberts, thank you so much for sharing so much of your life with us on Good Morning America, but also this book, truly inspirational. Robin wrote it from the heart, 7 Rules to Live By, a true satellite sister. Thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for listening. You're the best.
For more You're the Best encore interviews or Satellite Sisters podcasts, go to satellitesisters.com or iTunes. And don't forget, call your satellite sister.
Call your satellite sister. Call your satellite sister.